Oh, I don't have Brendan on a call. I don't have Brendan.
Caroline, is that right?
No.
You okay?
I'm good.
All right, guys.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Mercedes-Benz. I'm Caroline Gonzalez. Unfortunately, what happens in Vegas hopefully will stay in Vegas as your New Orleans Saints fall to the Las Vegas Raiders 34-24. We'll be hearing from Sean Payton live here in just a moment. We'll get over to the podium in Allegiant Stadium as soon as he is up to the podium. Penalties really told the story of the Saints tonight. 129 penalties for the Saints. 129 yards in penalties for the Saints. They are the only team in the NFL to have 200 yards in penalties through the first 2 weeks of the season. Like I said, penalties really told the story for the Saints tonight. Alvin Kamara, 95 yards, 9 receptions. He had 79 yards on 13 attempts. And for receiving, he had 9 receptions for 95 yards for Alvin Kamara. Saints started off strong on defense, had 3 sacks in the first quarter against Derek Carr, but that wasn't enough. They had 23 unanswered points starting at the end of the second quarter and going all the way through the fourth quarter. As I mentioned, we'll be hearing from Sean Payton right now.
You're good, Coach. You fire away, guys.
Sean, what was the turnaround there? You guys seemed to have a good start, and then the script flipped on you.
Yeah, listen, I would agree. I think 2 things: we didn't possess the ball enough offensively, and then defensively, very quickly, we couldn't get off the field. And we're going to look at third downs. We're going to look at time of possession, the turnover right before the half. We're going to look at a number of things, but we got to do a better job coaching. I don't think it's going to be a real pleasant film to watch for some of our star players as well.
Sean, what do you think has maybe been off with the way Brees has been playing the last 2 weeks? If you think anything has been off, it just seems like he wasn't as accurate. He wasn't as accurate as you would normally expect from him. Hopefully you can hear me.
I made the comment. We've got to be precise with what we're doing in the passing game route wise. I agree with you, really. I'm just saying the last 2 weeks, I think it's been average at best offensively, and that starts with us. It starts with me, and we got to be better. I thought we ran the ball a little bit better tonight. We're still not protecting the way we're supposed to. We're not functioning well enough and taking advantage of some of the opportunities we've had. So we'll look at that. Our third down numbers were better. I'm sure our red zone numbers were a little better, but we had some penalty situations. The one drive, heck, we had like 3 or 4 penalties. I lost track.
Sean, it seemed like you guys had trouble with Waller and that you tried a lot of different combinations. Was it just you just couldn't find a combination that worked on him?
Listen, you're exactly right. And so to let one of those guys like that get into our defense the way he did, that's our own fault. That's our own fault.
Sean, what was the issue was there anything in particular you couldn't get with not being able to get off the field? I know that had to be frustrating because you couldn't get the ball back to your offense to get into a rhythm.
Look, honestly, we have to look at the tape, but you got to credit Las Vegas. You know, those guys did a great job. They got in and out of plays versus our coverage looks. You know, and one by one, they made the plays when they needed to, especially in the last half of that game. You know, third quarter, fourth quarter, our third down numbers were poor, and we didn't do a good job of stopping one of their better players.
Any sense of whether the penalties, and it's the second week in a row over 110 yards, I guess, resulted from just, you know, guys struggling to stay with their man and doing whatever they could to recover, or, you know, or just really a mistaken technique?
Well, look, there weren't just defensive fouls. You know, there were more than just defensive fouls, but obviously we're not going to win when we have that many penalties, and that we got to get that cleaned up. I thought we played poorly in the secondary, honestly. All right, thank you guys.
All right, we'll be hearing from our analysts on site in Allegiant Stadium in John DeShazier in just a minute. You heard Sean Payton's frustration there. Not a lot of success in the secondary today for the Saints. Just the Raiders seemed to just go inch by inch down the field. Their tight end Waller had 103 yards on 12 receptions. He just seemed to climb his way down the field. Penalties really told a story for the Saints, as I mentioned earlier. 10 penalties for 129 yards for the Saints. If we go back to the first quarter, the Saints were without Michael Thomas today. That was very clear. It was going to be hard for them to kind of make up for that. You saw the ball being spread out early for the Saints. Deontay Harris, Taysom Hill. Alvin Kamara was used early for the Saints. Latavius Murray. And also, like I said, Deontay Harris for the Saints. Big runs from Alvin Kamara in the very beginning. We now go to Allegiant Stadium with our very own John DeShazier. JD, we heard last week that Sean Payton and Drew Brees took it upon themselves for their play calling, but this week's game, it seemed to come down to the secondary. What went wrong, in your opinion, in the Saints secondary?
Well, obviously the secondary didn't play well, but I mean, I wouldn't say the offense played well either. Those numbers that the offense had, 400 plus yards, were not 400 good
JD,
yards.
I'm going to interrupt you real
that
quick as we
offense
go to
really
running
struggled.
back Alvin Kamara at the podium.
Hey, Alvin, what did you think sort of just happened there in the, I guess the second half, and well, I guess second quarter and the second half? What changed for you all?
We just ain't have enough. They played a good game. We ain't do what we needed to do to win. Penalties killed us. We shot ourselves.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Alvin, look, I know it's a long season. You looked awful quick tonight, and you said last week you felt fast. I was safe to say you felt good out there today?
Yeah, I felt good. I mean, felt good. Would have liked to get the win, but we couldn't do that. So it is what it is. We got to watch the film, digest it. It's going to be a hard one to watch. A lot of errors, a lot of sloppy play. Got to come back better.
Doug Mouton again. Thanks.
Yeah, look, Alvin, this team's won the NFC South 3 years in a row and has never started 2-0. Is there something about this team where you sort of ramp up better and for some reason you're not a fast starting team?
I guess that's for everybody else to think about. We want to win every game. We're not going into the second game of the season like, oh, let's lose this one so we can double back and do what we did the last 3 years. We're trying to win every game. We didn't do enough tonight. It was ugly. It's a hard truth.
Next is from Nick Underhill.
I don't know if this really applies to you because the running game is pretty good, but why do you think the offense is a little bit out of sync right now?
I wouldn't say it's out of sync. We just had some mistakes that we can't have if we want to play winning football. It's unacceptable. That's all I can say.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Alvin, I know individual stuff doesn't really matter in a losing effort, but I was curious what you thought of Traquan Smith tonight, kind of stepping up with Mike being out.
He played well. He had to step up. He did. You know, he's a good player. He make plays when his number's called. It's nothing spectacular. It's not like we don't expect that. So he did what he had to do.
I think we're all set. Thanks, Alvin.
Yep.
and the offense, that things didn't really come together today for the Saints, JD?
Yeah, I just thought it was not a complete game. I mean, we saw much more of a complete game, at least from special teams and defensive wise in the season opener. But this one, it just didn't have that rhythm. Offensively, again, end up with good numbers, 400 plus yards, 312 passing yards. But those were some hollow numbers that were kind of stacked on at the end. And when they really needed the offense to function in the second and third quarter and early in the fourth, it didn't get a rhythm. And defensively, as you mentioned, they've struggled. When a team goes 10 or 17 for you on third down against you, you can't get off the field, and that means they're stacking up plays against you. The defense was out there for a long time, and the Raiders really took advantage of them. Tight end Darren Waller had a field day against the Saints coverage, and that's the kind of thing that we didn't expect to see happen this season against their safeties and linebackers, because we think those are much improved groups, but the Raiders were able to exploit them. And again, when you have that many penalty yards, 129 of them, you can't really function defensively. You saw the Raiders convert 3rd and 10. You saw them convert 3rd and 9. You saw them get out of a 1st and 15 from their own 8-yard line, where they were able to put together 3 plays and get a first down. And those things just simply cannot happen for you defensively. You've got to be able to make plays to get off the field. And, if you've got a pass interference, that keeps the other team on the field. Or if you simply can't make a play. We saw on the 3rd and 10 where Marshawn Lattimore was right there and just didn't make a play on the ball. All of a sudden the Raiders get a first down and they're in the red zone and they end up scoring. Those are the kinds of things that end up biting you as a defense.
JD, how much of that would you, on the offensive end, attribute to Michael Thomas being out? You saw the ball distributed to Alvin Kamara, Traquan Smith, Ty Montgomery, Deontay Harris, several wide receivers. Emmanuel Sanders targeted 3 times, had 18 yards in total on 1 reception. How much of that offensive fluidity came out of no Michael Thomas tonight?
Well, I mean, you can't not miss a guy who caught 149 passes last year. There's a reason he's the NFL record holder. So, you lose that security blanket that is Michael Thomas. But still, this offense has enough weapons to be able to function a lot more smoothly than it did in this game. And in fact, in the first quarter, I thought functioned pretty well, even though Drew Brees was not on target for a good majority of that first half. They ran the ball extremely well, was able to keep the Raider defense on the field and just kind of push them around a little bit in the run game. But unfortunately, they got out of rhythm, and they got totally out of rhythm, and they didn't have that security blanket of Michael Thomas, where if you're in a 3rd and 6, you can use that slant and you can get your 8 yards and you can get the first down. You can keep your offense on the field. You can keep your defense off the field. You can keep pushing the ball and moving it down the field. And they didn't have that. Had a couple of critical drops. Emmanuel Sanders dropped one. We saw Traquan Smith take a big hit, and he ends up not holding on to the football on that one. Saw Ty Montgomery drop a pass. So you had several drops, but you also had some overthrows by Drew Brees. I mean, it just didn't look like a clean, crisp Saints offense that we're accustomed to seeing. I don't know if you can attribute some of that to, you're not having the typical kind of training camp and off-season workouts, but this offense has been together. Most of these players have been in this offense for some time now, so you'd like to see a bit more fluidity even early in the season.
Well, JD, you say words like fluidity and rhythm, and I can't help but think about the Saints defense, and especially in that secondary. We saw such a good performance out of them last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and guys like Janoris Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore against Mike Evans, they stepped up in such a big way. Malcolm Jenkins had a tough night tonight for the Saints.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one. Him, Marshawn Lattimore had a tough night. Marcus Williams had a tough night. I mean, it was a tough night all around for that defensive secondary. And again, you want to see them rise to the occasion consistently. We heard Marshawn Lattimore talk about his consistency. You want to see that consistency, not just against Mike Evans and not just against Chris Godwin, who are 2 of the better receivers in the NFL. You got to rise to the occasion against some guys who, again, for the Raiders, are somewhat unheralded. You don't necessarily know all those guys, and yet they're in the NFL for a reason. They're not here just because they're cute. They're here because they know how to play, and they certainly showed that on several occasions in this game. The Saints defense has to rise to the occasion every week. That's when you become a really good defense, not a team that aspires to be good or not a team that is just holding on. You got to consistently put it together. We've seen them do it in the run game. They've got that part down pat. Consistently, they can stop teams from running the football. but can you stop them when you make them one-dimensional? And the Saints weren't able to do that.
Well, from what you're saying, JD, it seems like it comes down to chemistry and it comes down to rhythm, like you were saying, on offensive and defensive side of the ball. So how do you build on that going into week 3? You're not going against an easy opponent. You're going against the Green Bay Packers. It's a short week. You play next Sunday. How do you build on that coming off of this loss?
Well, you better just figure out your execution. You better get back to fundamentals. Again, if you're in position defensively and you commit a pass interference, that's just execution. That's just fundamentals. That's just, keeping your hands off the guy. And we see those penalties the first couple of weeks where guys are in position and unfortunately they commit those penalties. Well, that's just, again, that's just execution. That's just being fundamental about, going about your business the right way. And they hadn't done that these first couple of games. And that's where it begins. They'll get back in practice. And again, you'll get guys in position. I mentioned the 3rd and 10 completion against Marshall Lattimore, where he's right there in position, and basically the pass goes by his ear hole, where he's right there to make a play and doesn't make the play. Well, make that play, and instead of the Raiders going in for a touchdown, they have to go for a field goal attempt, and that's a 4-point swing, and anything can happen in those situations. So they got to brush up on their fundamentals a bit better, because 10 penalties for 129 yards. They had 100 plus penalties in the season opener. That's way too many. You're giving away those hidden yards, and that allows teams to not only stay on the field on offense, but puts them in position to score, and that's critical defensively. You can give up all the yards you want to. It's the scoreboard that you're looking at, and 34 points is way too many for an offense, especially when your offense is not playing that well.
Well, I believe we are going to go back over to Allegiant Stadium now. I believe we have a player at the podium. We will see who that player is in just a second, and I will get you over to that podium in Allegiant Stadium. It is our own Cam Jordan. Here he is.
First question's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Cam, just what are your overall thoughts on tonight? Just with y'all giving up 34 to the Raiders tonight.
Wasn't good enough. I mean, we had momentum going our way early in the game, and ended up losing the way we did. This is something that we're going to turn on the film, and we have to grow rapidly. At this point, everybody's got their hand in it. I don't know how many penalties we ended up with, but that's something we can't do. Those are self-inflicted injuries that led to scores. That's points on the board that we can't have.
Next question's from Amy Just.
Yeah, the difference between the first quarter and the rest of the game, other than penalties, is there something else that y'all can point to before watching film, of course?
I mean, that's a glaring issue right there. When you have over 100 yards, that's something that we have to immediately learn from. We're going to take this and get to the film as best we can and be back ready for Sunday.
Next question's from Catherine Terrell.
Cam, can you tell me kind of what you do immediately after a loss like this? Like, do you go straight to the film, and can you even make an assessment of how you played when you're still in those hours right after, or you're still feeling frustrated about what happened?
Yeah, we're on a shorter week. We have a game Sunday. We don't have the 24-hour rule in effect. This is something we got to get better from today. I don't know whether that leads to meetings early in the morning before we get out of here, but whatever it is, we got to be on the same accord come Sunday.
So basically, like right after this, are you going to grab the tablet and? Yeah,
we don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury for a 24-hour rule. At this point, we got to digest it. We got to eat this and grow as a team. We got to grow as a defense. There's things that we hadn't even shown on tape. So we've got to correct these mistakes. Again, everybody had their hand in it. You talk about missed tackles, penalties. I had 2 penalties myself. One offsides on the right side, and then a horse collar. But I want clarity on that just as well, because I feel at the end of the day, when you see those penalties, there's no excuse to be made. We've got to bounce back now.
Next question's from Fletcher Mackel.
Hey, Cam, you referenced the penalties. That's what I was going to ask about. How do you fix that? Is it film study? Is it practice? Is it discipline? How do you clean things like that up and do it quickly?
In a cleanup, it's all three of those. I mean, it's film study, it's discipline, it's relying on your technique work. You know, you don't rally the way that we do, run to the ball the way that we do. You know, we don't, as our defense, we hadn't shown that. So this is something we have to address now and again, grow from today.
Next one's from Jeff Duncan.
Hey, Cam, you all were getting really good pressure early on Carr. Did they adjust? Did they do anything in particular to kind of flip that around? Because it seemed like the ball started coming out really quick and they were getting the ball to Waller a lot.
I'd like to say the answer to the immense pressure we got, you know, early in the first quarter was get the ball out faster. I think they did that. They covered it up with a lot of play actions. At one point, they left a full protection slide. These are something that we have to overcome. Again, when we turn on the film, there's going to be glaring things that'll jump out at us, and we have to get better from. And we also have to focus in and hone in on not only on our discipline but our technique work. That'll go hand in hand.
Next question's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Cam, you guys have had these kind of losses early in the year, the last few years, the one in Los Angeles last year. Do you feel like you guys are pretty good at learning from these things early in the season? Certainly the track record seems to lead you to believe that you are.
Last year was last year. 2 years ago was 2 years ago. This year, we're a team that is in our mindset continue to grow, and that's what we have to do this game. We got to take this, and honestly, we have to break down and see how we can get better today. And if I don't go to sleep tonight, I don't go to sleep tonight. But we have a game Sunday. We have to get ready for this. We meet tomorrow. I don't care what it takes. We have to figure out how to get better from this. There was things that, again, we hadn't showed on film before. So this is something that we have to address now. When it comes to penalties, offense and defensive side, I can't speak for the offense. I know looking at defense, there was a couple times where we had them pinned right where we want them. And, we don't do the right things to get off the field. As Sean has said, there's certain aspects of this game that, you can't have happen in the game. And we wounded ourselves.
Last question's from Luke Johnson.
Cam, just specifically on those, I think they had like 4 touchdown drives at 10 or more plays. Just when you're on the field so much, does that kind of increase the level of difficulty of the challenge, just playing so many snaps?
Up until the third quarter, they were running for like 2.7 a carry. At the end of the game, they ended up with 3.5. That's something that we take pride as a D line to stop the run. We've got to up our keep. It wasn't good enough today. I mean, at the end of the day, we took an L, and that's something we have to learn from.
We're all set. Thanks, Cam.
Yep.
All right, that was Cam Jordan. We'll be hearing from quarterback Drew Brees here in a moment there in Allegiant Stadium. You heard Cam Jordan, a short week. If they don't sleep tonight, it is what it is. We go now to Allegiant Stadium.
We have Drew Brees joining us. First question's from Amy Just.
Yeah, general thoughts after this one?
Yeah, well, we didn't get many possessions, right? So we got about 7 possessions. If you don't count that last one, that last 2-minute drive. So I think we knew how valuable, the possessions would be in this game. I felt like we started the game off well, put together some good drives. 3 scoring drives, on our first 3 possessions. The turnover at the end of the half was unfortunate because, I felt like that probably took points off the board for us, maybe a field goal at the very least. And it gave points to them, gave them 3 points. So, if there's one thing I wish I could take back from the game, it would be that. Otherwise, man, we had a lot of mental errors. We didn't, felt like we were not playing as fast and maybe as just as sure and confident. Felt like we ran the ball well. And really, for the most part, I know penalties, at the end of the day, when you look at the stat sheet, it hurt us. I think offensively, we really just had one drive where it really set us back. We had 2 holding calls and then I think an illegal block, that put us into like a 3rd and 20 something situation. I think that was our first drive of the third quarter. But you look at what they were able to do, offensively, I think at the end of the half, and then in the third quarter, obviously they did a great job of possessing the ball. I think they had 36 minutes of possession time. We had 24. So listen, we know what wins football games, and we know what makes it very, very difficult to win football games. And obviously we made way too many mistakes out there in order to win that game.
Next question's from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, can you expand on the interception and what you were seeing on that play? Was that intended to go to Deontay?
Yeah, I had to throw it a lot earlier than I wanted to. And bottom line is I shouldn't have thrown the ball. That was either a bad decision or make a much better throw. But at the end of the day, just check it down. I didn't have the time that I needed to really make a good read. So I should have just dumped it to Alvin and moved on to the next play.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Drew, how different is it for you with Michael Thomas not being out there? Or how different was it?
Well, I'd say the big adjustment was just having to move some guys around. So Traquan basically played a lot of Mike's snaps, and then you had new guys in at Traquan's position, and so you obviously we're very multiple with what we do with our personnel groups and formations and plays and everything else, and so I think just honing in on where everybody kind of fits in the best, and then how we can execute better as a result of that.
Next question's from Jeff Duncan.
Yeah, Drew, do you guys feel like you're in sync right now? It feels like just watching from afar, you're all a little off. I know you said last week you didn't feel like you all played that well, and it looked like you started well tonight, and then all of a sudden couldn't find that rhythm again.
Well, I'd say this. Listen, every drive in this game was very valuable, right? We really only got about 7 of them. So, if one of those ends up being, a turnover that where we could have gotten points, and then the other one results in basically 3 penalties that took us out of field goal range and didn't allow us to get points. So 2 out of 7 possessions, should have resulted in some points. And so in a game like this, man, those are valuable. You got to have it. You just have to have it. So are we totally in sync right now? No, we're not. We're not even close to what we are capable of. Not even close. We did some good things tonight early on, but it just wasn't enough for the few opportunities we had. We needed to take better advantage of that.
Next question's from Fletcher Mackel.
My question was about being in sync, so I appreciate it. You can continue on if that's okay. I think you answered it. Thank you.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Drew, is some of that stuff affected by no preseason? I mean, there's some stuff that we're seeing that we're just not used to seeing, some timing stuff maybe that's not quite there, passes that are a little off the mark. Is it you guys still working in the shape because you didn't have the preseason?
I mean, I don't know if preseason, what difference that makes, other than, typically the starters get what we play about 1 quarter in the preseason, so sure, it would have been nice to have that. But listen, I mean, we got some new faces, and we just got to get back on track. I think we got to put together what is going to be, consistent execution. Because I'd say we're just inconsistent right now.
Next question's from Mike Triplett.
Hey, Drew, I feel like asking this question a little bluntly because, it's a popular narrative already from a lot of analysts that they're concerned we're seeing a sharp decline from your performance, and some stats that, your air yards are the shortest through 2 games of any quarterback in more than a decade. What would you say to counter the narrative that you don't feel like you're starting this season showing decline?
Well, my job is to execute the offense, right? And so I think I've always evaluated myself on being a great decision maker. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to throw the ball to the open guy, move the ball down the field, score points, help us win football games. So that's my job. My job's not to have the most air yards or throw the ball down the field the most or anything like that. My job's to help us win. My job's to help put everybody around me in the best position to succeed. And that's all I'm focused on.
And then just in your own evaluation, what is something that you personally would like to clean up heading into week 3?
Well, I think we just need to be more efficient, just more efficient. We have a wealth of stuff that we do within the framework of our offense. And, we called, a shot play or two today and just got the wrong coverage on both of them. So, what could have been big play opportunities, what could have, been throws down the field, unfortunately had to be checked down, But I think one was a 10-yard check down completion and another one was something close to that as well. So, again, at the end of the day, it's our job is to move the ball down the field and score points. And however we do that, we do it.
Last questions from Luke Johnson.
Drew, just curious what you thought of Traquan today, even in a losing effort, just filling in for Mike.
Yeah, listen, I thought he did a great job. I think we all see what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands, just the run after the catch. Obviously, Deontay Harris got some more opportunities today. I think we need to continue to find ways to get Emmanuel Sanders, more involved. There was an opportunity or two there, just, thinking back, I'm sure after I watched the film, where we say, man, definitely a few more catches, a few more touches. But listen, we got a lot of guys. I think we just got to hone in on, where everybody's fitting in the best and what will allow us to really execute at the highest level.
That wraps it up. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, thanks.
Cord comes Sunday. Drew saying that the offense isn't playing as fast, sure, or confident. So how do you build on that confidence going into week 3 to do what Drew Brees said and get that consistent execution?
Well, this team, offensively and defensively, have demonstrated that they can play well. So you lean back on the things that you have done well, and knowing that you've done them well before. This offense has never had a problem under Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Now, they've hit rough patches, but for an overall season, they always finish top 10, top 6 in total offense. So, you figure this offense will get it together. Defensively, this team has played well in spots defensively, so it can happen. We just saw it defensively in week 1, so we know they can do it. So now it's just a matter of getting your confidence together. As Cam said, you got to forget this one as quickly as possible because, remembering it doesn't help you a whole lot. There are mistakes that you want to get into the film room and clean up, but there's been a lot to be gained from a game, from just, living in the moment and living in this one right here. So you move along from it, you get on to the next one. But again, they've had past experiences where they've played extremely well on offense and defense. That's what you have to lean on, and you have to be confident in that, because if you just wallow in this one, it'll follow you, and all of a sudden one loss will become 2 losses, and 2 losses will become 3 losses. So you nip this one as quickly as possible. You get on to the business at hand, because Green Bay is coming in with an extremely talented team, a team that scored 40 plus in both of the first 2 games. So this one isn't one to dwell on when you've got that team coming to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome next Sunday.
Well, let's all just come together and say that we'll forget about this game by midnight tonight. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, JD. Good luck on your travels back home, safe travels back, and we'll tune back in to you next week, JD. Thanks so much. All right, that'll do it for our New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Mercedes-Benz. Your Saints fall to the Las Vegas Raiders 34-24. That'll do it for Caroline Gonzalez on the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Mercedes-Benz.